Hey everybody, welcome to a very special Dissecting Design this week. This is going to be the first one I'm doing on my smartphone, and we're going to be taking a look at a free-to-play game. As you can see, I'm in the corner down here. I'm just trying to test things out, so I'm going to disappear now. There we go. And welcome to South Park Phone Destroyer. This is the game we looked at a few months ago on Game Wisdom. And I wanted to pick this game because I really wanted to talk about the pay to win aspects of free to play games. And South Park Phone Destroyer, unfortunately, definitely hits that point. Now, another reason I wanted to play this one is the fact that I'm basically past that free to play honeymoon phase, wherein the game starts out easy enough to get you involved and invested in it, and then kind of pulls the rug out from underneath you. And in this video, we're going to talk about some of the aspects of what makes the game work, and then how the free-to-play elements definitely get involved or mess around with things. So, because I am recording this on my smartphone, I have no idea how this is looking or whether or not you guys can actually hear me alright until the very end. I'm going to be trying to cut things in and out if possible, but these will probably be more or less longer parts simply because of the fact that it's a little bit annoying on this phone to start and stop in mid-play. But playing South Park Phone Destroyer, the game is split into two different gameplay. You have the PvP aspects, and then you have PvP. And I'm trying... Oh, I can actually move that button. That's nice. Now, the PvE is where you start out and where you basically get the basic elements in order to start building your deck and your strategies. Let me get this button out of the way. There we go. Hopefully you guys don't see that, although I'm not sure. There's me with my cocky pirate theme. Now, we'll talk more about what this screen means and the resources in a later part. I'm just going to pick a level here. And we're going to show off just the basic PvE aspects first. And the gameplay is very similar to Clash Royale, I believe. In that we're going to be summoning units onto the field, and they're going to basically fight for us. Now, this is a deck that I use for both PvE and PvP. There we go. And as you can see, the various South Park characters are all basically being represented by characters here. Take note of the numbers above characters' heads as well, because that will become a factor later on. As you can see, we're moving through the levels. And you can see my energy in the bottom left, and what cards I can play as well. And with some poison. No, don't go down. Cards are categorized by their theme, as well as rarity, and then class. So the theme you can see around the edges of these cards. This is a mystical and sci-fi deck, while the little mark above the energy is the class. And then the different color represents what rarity it is. And it goes common, rare, epic, and then I think legendary is the highest.
What a pretty day for you to die.
And yes, everybody in South Park gets in on the act. I'll pull out my tank. Go Cartman. There we go. And of course, every card has a special ability. For instance, Jimmy there prevents characters from charging up power. Program Stan can freeze. But we got her. Now, when you win, you'll be able to choose your rewards from these lockers, as you can see. And supposedly the rewards are random, although I don't think that is the case. So let's see what I get. So we got 2 best loots. We got some upgrade material and a card. And we'll talk more about what that means, probably in an upcoming section. Now, if you look at the top of the screen, you can see my basically three main resources. You have my experience, that's the blue bar in the upper left. You have coins, or I think they're credits, and then you have dollars, and dollars are the premium currency. If I want to open up more lockers, let's say there's a reward I really want to get, I would have to spend premium currency, and that cost goes up each time I do it. Now, of course, upgrading cards is a major part of Phone Destroyer, and leads into the kind of gacha design of the game. And the difference between gacha and loot box is that when it comes to loot box design, once you've gotten the item or the equipment or whatever, you are golden. Like, that item is set and you're good to go. With gacha design, not only are there multiple ways to purchase items, but there's a lot of things you need to do to power up your cards or your units or whatever. But let me get back out of here. Now that you've seen what the general gameplay is, we may try PvP later in this play, I'm not sure yet. But before we look at the store, which I'll probably cut this video and we'll look at that later, I want to talk about what the parts of South Park Phone Disorder that work really well. And that is the card design and theme. Like I said in my video, the game makes perfect use of the South Park IP, with, as you can see, every character is represented in some way, shape, or form, with of course the main characters having multiple versions. So here is, if this loads, Captain Wendy. And you can see from left to right what the card does, what their stats are, and what you need to upgrade. And you can look along the bottom there to notice what her rarity is. Alright, welcome back. I had to cut the video there because I accidentally hit the wrong button. But let's talk a little bit about what makes South Park Phone Destroyer work, or the best elements of that. And that is the card design and just general use of the South Park theme. As I said in my review, the idea of taking all the various characters of South Park and translating them into different cards and different strategies works amazingly well. Now I'll be scrolling through some of the cards that I have here, and you can see how various characters are showing up in different forms. So, for instance, if we look at Shaman Token over here, you can see what he does. But if we pop out of that, and let me pull it up here. Hold on. Where is he? There he is. Here's Space Warrior Token. You can see they have different abilities. And this plays into also the different themes. Right now you have mystical, adventure, sci-fi, and fantasy. And I'm sure there's more coming as time comes on, or time goes on. Now, if you look on this screen here, this is a very important screen to look at because it shows off a lot of what the progression model of Phone Destroyer is. You can see on the left-hand side the card's base stats, its type. If you look at the bottom, that 1 out of 8, that represents the number of duplicates that I need in order to level token up. Look on the bottom right, you can see the card type, theme, and rarity. You see the stats in the middle, and then you see what resources that I need to upgrade. And we'll talk more about that when we start to get into the free-to-play aspect of South Park Phone Destroyer. But when cards level up, it gives them major advantages. It raises up their stats. If the card has a special effect, such as Alien Clyde here with his poison, then this will also get boosted. And as I said, I really do enjoy this. I like the fact that there is depth here to what cards you choose. And again, it makes just great use of this theme. I kind of wish we could like zoom in on these cards or get like a full screen splash of them as well. Like if you look over here, you can see the sci-fi version of Cartman, sorry about that. And then we can come over here and you can see the mystical version of Cartman. And it has different strategies and different utilities because of it. In terms of building your deck, if we come over here, your limits are basically a total of 12 cards, and they cannot include more than 2 different themes, excluding neutrals, which are kind of like the wild cards. So as you can see, my deck mainly includes mostly mystical and sci-fi, but I have a few neutrals here, such as dog poo right here, who doesn't have any special powers other than him just hitting really, really hard. Now, getting cards and getting power in South Park Phone Destroyer is a very big part of the free-to-play aspects, as well as the PvP. And if I can figure out how to do this successfully, we'll cut the video here, and we'll talk next about what progression means, and how it is heavily skewed towards monetization. But I will see you all in a second. Welcome back, everybody. So it's been about, say, about half a day since the last recording, and I wanted to do this at this point when we actually can show off how progress works in Phone Destroyer, and more importantly, how the game really gets into pay-to-win territory with how it's to motivate players to keep playing, or how specifically to get more powerful. And in South Park Phone Destroyer, any and all progress in the game is built on winning. The only ways you're going to actually get new cards or get materials you need to upgrade your cards is by winning either the campaign matches or by winning PvP. Now, the free element of the game is getting a free pack every 2 hours. I think it's every 2 or 4. But that's not the same as what you're getting for winning. So for this part, we're going to talk about how you're actually improving your cards and what are the options available that go with it. So I guess it's time for a little unboxing here. And I muted the sound just so that I can actually focus on my talking. So here's my free pack, and I should have 2 saved because it's been a while since I've done this. Hope you're all excited about it. Alright, so we have coins, which are the basic resource. These are the generic items for, or these are the upgrade items for the neutral class. Sci-fi. There's a card. And that's about it. We got one more. Now, the store here, as you can see at the bottom, does refresh about every 12 or so hours. Also, when you buy an item, it raises the cost for the subsequent purchase. Alright, here we go again. Oh, good. We have 1 bit of premium currency. Keep that in the back of your mind, folks, because we're going to look at why $1 really doesn't do all that much. Oh, I could actually use that card. Except not really. There, so it's every 4 hours. So, we come back over here. Hopefully I can get this working. Well, the app crashed, so I'm going to try this again. But, excuse me, it did save what I got with the packs. So, I went back to my home base here, and we're going to look at why it's so hard to actually make progress when it comes to new cards. So, I'm pulling up my deck here. As we said in the last section, before we got to talking about the progression side, being able to upgrade your cards is a major part of South Park Phone Destroyer. The problem is that unless you're willing to spend money, you really don't have a lot of options of how to do it. So let me see. Well, we'll pull up our friend Dog Poo here. So as you can see with Dog Poo, I could upgrade him. We have enough currency, but I need to get lucky with the draw to draw one more of him to be able to actually get to that next tier. And by doing that, we'll enhance him pretty nicely. But each class or each faction requires different upgrade material. Now, these characters are already at their max limit until I get their duplicates. Let me see. What about our friend Terrence Mephisto here? Yep, everyone's at their limit, so I really can't do much with some of these cards until we get more of it. Ah, perfect. So for the mystical side here with Sexy Nun Randy, I have 2 of the 3 components I need. And as you go up in rarity of the card, it requires more components. And it requires the rarer ones as well. The candle is common. The looks like a necklace is the rare. Or I'm sorry, it's kind of like the uncommon. And then the dreidel is the rare resource. But until I get those items, whether it's by getting lucky through card drops or by the lockers, I can't upgrade these cards anymore. And that puts me at a very distinct disadvantage against people who are spending money and can afford to open up multiple decks. Now, there's also something even more insidious here that we'll save until the end. Now, excuse me. Now, just before the app crashed, I mentioned that the money didn't really do all that much. And that's because, if I can get back to the store, 1 second. Hopefully it will not crash on me again. I'm going to show you kind of where the gotcha element comes into play here. Besides the fact that you have to hunt for a lot of items in order to have any chance of upgrading. I clicked on the wrong thing. 1 second. Should probably know this by now. There it is. So we come over here. This is the paying side of Phone Destroyer. So as you can see, there are 4 different card packs. And the idea is you buy the cheapest one, the 150, to get a lot of resources, hopefully. But if you want cards, you have to go up with the silver, gold, and I guess that's platinum on the right-hand side. Now, in terms of costs, if we come down here, you can see that 500 cash is equal to $5. So that means it's going to cost you $25 of real money if you want to open up the rarest pack. And that can get very, very expensive. And I'm going to talk more about why that can be very troublesome in a few minutes. But there is another way to earn packs and resources, or I should say there's 2 more ways. However, they're still tied to this pay-to-win progression. So the first thing is PvP. This time I made sure to click on the right thing. And PvP is where the bulk of the game's focus, I think, was put on in terms of keeping you playing. So every time you win 3 matches, you get a chance of opening up a PvP pack. And the PvP pack is special. Before I open that up, I want to show you why. Once it decides to load. There we go. Your reward through the PvP pack is determined by your ranking. And as you go up the various ranks here, every 5, you unlock a new environment, which in turn affects what cards you can possibly find. So once I hit 20, the resources go up here. 25, and so on and so forth. And notice that the PvP card pack in the bottom right improves as well. Now, right now, there's only up to 11, or the legendary rank. But I'm going to probably assume that if things keep getting improved, they'll probably add more as time goes on. So, I'm going to open up my PvP pack. And you'll see what I got. Again with the coins, PvP tickets. Yeah, well, that's great, but I'm still not getting anything that I really need. Yep. I really didn't get anything that I was really needing to improve my deck. And if I want to get this PvP pack bonus available again, I either wait 4 hours or I give them 45 of in-game dollars. Now here's the PvP store that uses the tickets, and again the store refreshes, so on and so forth. But the problem is there are very few avenues for getting the upgrades and cards you need to keep playing. And now, I'm sure you're probably saying, Josh, why don't you just play the campaign? Well, there's a pretty big problem with that. And you probably noticed this as I was playing it at the beginning of this video. Let me come back over here. Every time you beat a campaign level, you can replay it again, but the difficulty goes up. And you can see down there what the possible best loot options are. And these change every time you beat a level. So if you don't get that, or you're not getting lucky with those best loot options, you're still not getting the cards you need. But to make matters worse, you will eventually hit a point where the levels are just too hard for your deck. As I said earlier, leveling up cards is a very big deal in Phone Destroyer. And a not as well put together deck, but of higher level cards, will usually beat out a well constructed deck, but they're only using level 1s or maybe level 2 versions of those cards. And if you haven't guessed, the cost for upgrading cards, both in terms of the resources you need to spend, as well as the number of those card copies you need to burn, go up exponentially with each one. In fact, I was watching an expert player watching high-level players who are opening up their card packs, and according to what they were showing, it costs several hundred copies of a card in order to level up some of these cards once you get to like level 4 or 5. And that is just insane, especially again if you're expecting to play this game free. And as you can keep seeing, I've been trying to get the resources I need, but I'm kind of stuck there. As I said a few minutes ago, what makes this very insidious is the fact that you cannot get progress just by playing Phone Destroyer. You will only receive it by winning, either winning a campaign match or winning PvP. You can lose progress, because if I lose a PvP match, I'll go down in ranking. And if I lose 5 ranks, I'm going to lose access to that version of those PvP packs. But this can take us into the point about why Phone Destroyer runs into the pay to win side of things. Is that I could spend at this rate, it'll probably take me a few months of play just to earn enough free cash to get that premium package and hopefully get a chance of getting some of those rare cards that I need. Or someone just slaps down $25 and calls it a day. And from what I've seen, legendary cards, the absolute highest tier, will drop from those $25 packs. And I have not seen any opportunity to get a legendary elsewhere. And the legendaries in Phone Destroyer can be very powerful. One of the more annoying ones is Man Bear Pig, who basically, if your deck is not designed to counter him, he can just wreck you very easily. And I know people will complain, well, of course you can play the game for free and get good and all that, but it's not really a matter of getting good. It's more or less getting your credit card and spending as much money as possible. As I said a few minutes ago, I've watched high-level players open up packs, and one person literally spent 20 minutes opening up $2,000 worth of cards. Someone else admitted to spending at least $1,300 on card packs. And that is scary when you look at it. Because it creates what we were talking about with Ramin, that infinite card value or infinite game value that you're just going to keep putting money in, but you're not really getting anything of substantial value. And of course, you can open up these packs, which I can't do obviously, and there's a chance you could get nothing that you need. And you could just literally wasted $25, $7, $5, whatever, and you're incentivized, or the incentive is there to keep spending that money. So again, like right here, there's nothing that I need, but I'm still kind of stuck. And this is why I wanted to make the video here in terms of my play, because I'm kind of in the lower middle in terms of PvP progress. So we're past that honeymoon phase, and there's not much I can do. Now, I'm not going to make any claims that this is an ultimate deck that I have there at the bottom, but I can't make any more progress unless I get the upgrade materials. Not only the upgrade materials, I need those card copies. So if I want to upgrade my Awesomeo here, I need to get 2 more copies of his Epic, and that's going to be very hard. As another big point, we come back here, the campaign structure introduces the mystical and fantasy options near the end of the campaign. So if you're trying to build decks along those varieties, you're going to be fighting the harder versions of those decks first. This is why a lot of people make use of adventure and sci-fi, because they're the first 2 groups of categories. And I didn't mention this, but the campaign forces you into PvP at select parts in order to progress. And this also forces you up the PvP ladder, and again, it's trying to get you to stay in PvP to get those rewards, but it's just not going to work. Now, with that said, let me come back over here. The PvP side again, it's the main focus of the game. But as you get higher up in it, you're eventually going to reach that point where you have to spend money. And someone who has spent money in this game will have an innate advantage over someone who doesn't. Because having access to those higher tier cards and leveling them up is going to mean all the difference in the world. If someone were to give me 1 copy of every amazing card, all the legendaries, that would help out to a point. But the second I start fighting people who have level 3 or, oh my goodness, level 4 cards, I can't compete with that just due to the abstraction at work. And for my last point for this section, hopefully the game won't crash, I want to talk about why things are very insidious with this system. I'm not sure if I can show it here. Let me see. Maybe the app here will do it. It's an avatar. This just may be clothing. It may not show me the exact option. Let me see. Come on, game. What I'm trying to show you, yeah, it's not doing it, is remember what I talked about with the level system, that number 6 in the upper left-hand corner? Well, every time you level up or level up your profile, your character will gain more health, and they will do more damage to cards crossing over to their side of the field. And remember, the only way to level up is to upgrade your cards, ergo spend resources or money. So people who are spending money get an innate advantage because they can upgrade more cards faster. And the reason why this is a bad thing is that when your character is leveled up enough, he or she or whatever you want to design your character as can become strong enough to deal with a lot of low-level cards simply by themselves, especially those of the assassin or high damage, low health variety. And this is incredibly true in the campaign, where the characters or the bosses are boosted so high up, they're eliminating my cards at full health before they can even get within range. And again, this is another example of these kinds of advantages that paying players can have over non-paying. I fought people who are at my rank, but at least 4 to 5 levels above me. And again, there is nothing I can do to compensate for that. They're killing my cards faster. Their higher level cards are able to beat me faster. And again, if I'm not winning, I am not making any progress whatsoever. So, with that said, I'm going to stop this part here, and I want to talk about my final thoughts and why this is such a disappointment with South Park Phone Disorder. So, I will see you all in a second. Alright, welcome back. Time for my final thoughts on Phone Destroyer, and it really is such a shame about the monetization side. Because like I said in my review at the start, the game makes great use of the IP, and I do like the card designs. But this game just really falls on the pay-to-win aspects of free-to-play design. And again, there's just not enough here if you're not able to spend money in order to make progress. Now, if you look up here in the top right, every few days I give out a special promo. That gives you a chance of getting more cards and such. And while this all sounds great, you can never buy these using in-game currency. You can only spend real money. Oh, here's another one. Yep, can't really do much there. As you can see, it is possible to get a legendary card from these packs. Unfortunately, though, you'll have to spend money, and you may not get it anyway. But the point about why this falls into pay to win is that there's just not enough avenues for a free player to make progress. As I said in the last section, all or any and all progress in Phone Destroyer is built around winning. And the only way to win is to get cards and the upgrade materials you need to keep growing. But unlike other free-to-play games such as Warframe or Team Fortress or even something like League of Legends, you're not able to make progress through free means. In Warframe, for instance, while everything in that game is monetized, the game does go out of its way to give a free player the options of getting that stuff, be it through upgrade materials, trading with friends, or completing quests. With Team Fortress, you get items dropped via the in-game, and again, none of it is just pure power. Or something like League of Legends, where the monetization side of things doesn't really factor into the actual gameplay of it. The same goes for CSGO. But with Phone Destroyer and other free-to-play games of its kind, the monetization is built heavily into the gameplay. And you will quickly hit that point where you're either going to have to spend money or you're just not going to be able to make any real progress. And without giving players that free out, it just comes off as being very exploitive, in my opinion. And I would love to see someone try to do this, but with a more ethical version of monetization. Because it could work. Give the player, I would say the simplest thing would be, win or lose, you get to open up one locker in terms of the rewards at the end. Just give the player something to show that they're moving forward, rather than just having them waste minutes of their time and go from there. And again, the point is that once you start winning in Phone Destroyer, just like with other free-to-play or competitive-based titles, it becomes easier to keep winning, as long as you're spending money. Because the more you're winning, the more PvP packs you get to open, the more packs you open, the more resources you get a chance to get, or by just simply spending more money on packs, giving you wider options. Now, of course, I believe from what I've seen that does drop off once you get to the end game of the PvP. We're talking legendary rank, the top players in the world. And at that stage of the game, there is certainly a lot of strategy and I would assume depth to playing Phone Destroyer. But it still becomes an arms race for who can level up their cards fastest. Because if you're dealing with two players of equal skill and equal great card packs or equal card decks, then the level will come into play to decide who really wins. And again, it can become a case of two or more players competing with each other of who can spend the most money and get that stuff first. But for those of you who have tried Phone Destroyer, what did you think of the monetization? And do you think it is possible for a free player to push up into this game? Because I don't think so. And when I hear about expert players spending over $1,000 on cards, it really, demotivates me to keep playing this game. Because even if I do get lucky and I pull one amazing pack from either the free ones or the PvP, it's not going to mean much compared to someone who just blew $500, $1,000 or more and has a full complement of level up cards or a few legendaries to proceedingly kick my butt. But that said, we're going to wrap things up for this week's Dissecting Design. Let me know what you think about me recording this on my smartphone. And if there's other smartphone games that could be interesting enough to do a dissecting on. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check back for daily discussions on game design here and on Game Wisdom, where we examine the art and science of games, with new dissecting design pieces usually going up each Monday. Until next time, have a great night, and we'll probably be back onto the PC for our next one. So, until then, take care. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Check back around 10 Eastern for regular streaming. If you'd like to suggest games for me to cover or topics to talk about, let me know in the comments below. For a collection of my writings as well as weekly podcasts on design, check out game-wisdom.com. To support the Game Wisdom Patreon, you can find us on there on patreon.com/gwbicer. $1 will get you into our private Discord channel where we talk game topics and more. $5 will get you voting privileges for any major event, including the Saturday Night Grab Bag, Patreon-funded goals, and more. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you enjoy more videos here on the Game Wisdom YouTube channel.